Hello listeners, you're with myself, Stephen.
And myself, Thomas.
On NPK Live, and today's episode, number 57, is on the root zone, or as we like to call it, the Rhizosphere.
As Steve likes to call it, I call it the root zone.
Stay tuned, we'll be talking about everything to do with the roots and how to get them really healthy.
Yeah, and stop them looking really crap.
Yeah. Go make yourself a cup of tea and enjoy our dulcet tones on this Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, relax, put the feet up and listen to my terrible Scottish accent. Try and interpret it. All you guys in America, because I know you have to put this on like 20 beats per minute just to slow it right down, just to understand me clearly.
Well, that was one hell of an introduction. Go make your cup of tea. We'll be back here in a minute.
Yeah.
So you're back?
Yeah.
Cup of tea?
Yeah.
You
Biscuits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foxes?
No, I've got digestives.
Ooh, hot knobs.
Chocolate digestives.
And today's podcast is on the root zone.
Yeah.
Or otherwise known as Rhizosphere. So I've written something on my notes and I'm going to read it out for you. As it is below, so it shall be above. That's it. I had to write that down so I didn't forget it. No, in other words though, that means bigger roots, bigger fruits. So it's all about the roots and growing plants within the Rhizosphere. What have you got to add?
I'm just thinking about where to start, to be honest. Obviously we start at the beginning.
Yeah.
And the beginning of a root zone is propagation.
Yeah.
So throughout propagation you have a root zone, and it's established in propagation, and you have some nice white fluffy roots with loads of little tiny little roots. Root hairs, yeah. Now these are exceptionally healthy roots, and you want to keep this from start to finish. You do that successfully and your plant will grow lovely and flourish well.
Yeah, right up until the very end.
Yeah. But that in itself is the hard part.
It's a tough undertaking.
Good things for root zones, if you are in a media, i.e. cocoa or soil, is potting up through the stages.
Okay.
Whilst you're potting up, you can use various bacteria to stimulate the roots. You can use some different products, Regeneroot, Rhizotonic,
Rhizoblast,
Root Accelerator,
yeah. Take Root.
Yeah.
There's a few on the market, isn't there?
Yeah, quite a few.
We'll talk a little bit more about them a bit later on in the show.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about the testing we'll be doing in the new year, 2016. But the word that I started the show with, as it is below, so it shall be above. Now, that might sound very oldie-worldy and a bit of nonsense, but it's actually really true. If you have a poor root system, poorly formed, full of death, remember last week we were talking about Pythium, then the plant above will be deathly, lacking growth, lacking vigour, will never ever flourish, and you'll probably end up binning it. And you'll think, what have I done wrong? Because it's an overlooked part of growing plants is the root system, and it's overlooked because you can't see it. So if you can't see it, mustn't be a problem there, must there? So if you've got a healthy root system, white, with those nice little root hairs, and it's wrapping itself around the pot, and as Thomas said, that you've potted up nicely, you can pretty much guarantee yourself a very healthy plant.
Yeah. Well, as I was saying, with potting up, some people don't actually pot up through the stages. So some people will take a clone in a small rock wool, and they will pot it straight into a 10-litre pot, which you can do, and that's fine, and the plant will be fine. However, the root zone itself will be completely different from a plant that I have, because I would then put my small plant in a small SBS cube, put that into one of the terracotta pots that we have, the little red ones.
Yep.
I think it's half a litre, something like that. And I will let that plant grow until that pot becomes root bound. So then when I plant that pot up into 3 or 5 litre pot, the centre of the pot is then root bound, so the roots work out. If you just plant straight from an SBS cube to a 10 litre, 15 litre pot, what will happen is the roots will go right down, right round the bottom and round the outside, but the roots won't be inside the centre of the media, if you understand what I mean, because it'll send the taproot straight down, it'll go round the circle or square base of the pot, and then it will go round the outer side. Now, if you pot up through the pot stages, you're creating
just a
massive root within the whole media.
Yeah, so you're utilising every bit of media that you've got.
Yeah, rather than just round the outside of it.
What you mentioned there as well, I'm going to take it to a bit more of a dramatic level. You said people take the cuttings or the plants from Rockwells or from Jiffy's and put them into a 10 litre pot.
Yeah.
I've known some people to do that straight into a 20 litre pot, because obviously
I've known them to do it into an 80 litre pot.
the bigger the pot, the bigger the plant.
Yeah.
Well, if you veg your plant for 4 weeks in a 10 litre pot, obviously if you veg it for 4 weeks in an 80 litre pot, you're obviously going to get a bigger plant.
Yeah.
Wrong. You are going to get a waste of cocoa, a waste of nutrients, and then the biggest problem is you're going to overwater your plants, because what people do,
This is a common fault.
myself included, because it's a human error. It's not a grower's error, it's a human error. You don't feed the plants, you don't feed the roots because you can't see them. What do? You feed the cocoa. And you're not going to give that 80 litre pot just a litre of water, because look at all that cocoa, that's dead dry. You're going to give the 80 litre pot the 10 litres of water, because that's what it takes to fill that pot and to saturate all that cocoa. Unfortunately, you've only got 2 or 3 inches worth of roots, and you're going to drown the bugger. It's going to go yellow and it's going to die.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't pot small plants into big pots.
You pot up through the stages.
Exactly, and you're going to get a really healthy root system. Another part, these things just keep on popping into my head. As you're potting up, what are you doing at the root system? You're looking at the root system 3 or 4 times through the growth stage. Instead of taking a small plant into a big pot and you never look at the root system ever again, you, with potting up, you're going to take out the roots and check them.
Having an examine. And what you should be doing, as well as when you're tipping that pot up and sliding the pot away and looking at the roots, you should be having a sniff as well.
Yeah, good sniffy roots.
Good sniffy roots. And what you're sniffing for is rotten stench.
Yeah.
If you've got rotten stench, obviously you are putting too much water in there, plant's not uptaken, and we're back to pest and disease, what we spoke about last 2 podcasts.
Yeah. If you don't know what we're on about, pause this podcast, go back to disease, check out Pythium, then you can come back and jump back in on this podcast, because it's all about keeping the root zone healthy.
Yeah.
Smelly, rotten, brown, smelly roots.
Ain't no good.
No. And that's Pythium, and you're going to have a very diseased plant.
Yeah.
So that's, potting up. How do you pot up? You've got a great little technique for potting up. You impress everybody on the allotment with the speed of your potting up.
Yeah.
It's something to behold.
To be honest, potting up to me is such an easy, enjoyable task. I love potting up because it allows me in. I'm allowed to have a look at what's been going on underneath there. So basically, I will open me 2 index fingers, like a V shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not very nice, Thomas.
Which I'm now showing to Stephen. So basically,
You've just made the V shape too.
the V shape, the index fingers, and I place them in between the stalk, grab hold of the stalk, and then grab hold of the pot. I then tip the pot upside down and basically just pull the pot away. So then I've got this.
You've forgotten the most important step. You've forgotten the all-important top tip.
What?
Your little technique. The little taparoo.
Oh, of the pot?
Yeah.
You to get it off?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just give it a little tap, don't you?
Little taparoo.
Yeah, and that's it. And it just slides nicely off.
Cool. Where do we go from there?
Previously, though, I did forget to mention, what you do is you get that pot and you use that as a template. So you have your larger pot with your immediate in it, and you get that other pot and you drive it in so it makes that perfect shape. So when you slide that pot out, boom, you slide it right in and it's the exact shape.
Nice. Okay, that's a good tip for potting up. While we're on potting up, we've mentioned a few times this phenomenal product, Charge. If you're not currently using it and you are potting up, it's something to definitely get your hands onto, because you're going to sprinkle a little bit into that hole that Thomas has just told you to make with the pot you've just pulled the plant out of. Sprinkle a little bit of Charge into that hole, plant the plant into there, cover up with a bit of cocoa and water through. my God, you see results. What a fantastic product.
That product's been getting used by all of the allotment growers, champion onion grower in Wales.
There's a few champions, first, second, third places all over the country have been used and charged.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal product, and just thought I'd throw it in there while we're talking about potting up.
Yeah.
So that's your technique for potting up?
Yeah. What do roots do? Come on, Steve. I know you love all this stuff.
So roots are the primary route for nutrients and water to be absorbed, and oxygen as well. So carbon dioxide is what the leaves take up, and roots actually take up oxygen. So we want a very high oxygen atmosphere within the root system. This is done by not overwatering, something we talked about last week as well, to prevent pythium. And you can achieve this by adding a bit of perlite into your cocoa mixture, maybe some clay pebbles. This will all help with the aeration. And oxygen at the root zone is very important. But roots, I don't have straight off point. Roots, they are essentially the main roots to take up nutrients and water. It is the number one place that your plant gets everything done.
So they're like straws for the plant.
Yeah, exactly, like a little mini straws.
And it's a highway of them underneath there.
Yeah. And then you've got micro hairs, which are invisible to the naked eye. They'll help take up all the ions of nutrients. And you've got the main taproot and the main roots, which will take up the water. Something of interest for people that want to know is that the roots actually control the environment in the rhizosphere as well. So they can encourage bacteria to live on them. So they'll have a symbiotic relationship with bacteria, whereby the plant will exude sugars, carbohydrates, which the bacteria live off. And the bacteria in turn will, as you like to say, poop on the roots. And some of them are nitrogen fixing bacteria. That's one example. They will help fix nitrogen from the atmosphere and feed it to the plants. That is especially good for plants such as cucumbers and legumes and tuber plants as well. So that's a bacteria relationship that roots have. And when I say another way that they control their rhizosphere as well is they control the pH. So getting into a bit of deep chemistry here, they actually put out hydrogen ions or hydroxyl ions, and that will alter the pH up and down.
Here he goes again.
I'll stop the boring bits there, but that's how you control the root zone. Interesting point, let's get this back to growing. If you're in deep water culture and hydroponics, a natural thing that you will see as the plant is taking up healthy amounts of nutrients and growing during the vegetative stages, you actually should see the pH increase. That's not a bad thing. So you'll set your pH at, let's say, 5.5. That pH will naturally increase over the days as your plant is healthy and taking in nutrients. So that's a good sign to look out for. If your plant is changing the water atmosphere so that the pH is dropping, then that's a bad sign. It means it's putting out hydroxyl ions, and that's not what you want for good nutrient uptake. So there's some things to consider. If your pH is rising during the vegetative periods, that's a good thing. If it's dropping, not so good, and there's some things that you'll need to be addressing, such as water temperature, the amount of feed that you put into the plant, and just other little things within the root zone. So that's, in a nutshell, what roots do.
That's roots.
Yeah.
Just to reiterate, the root zone itself is a very intricate and highly sensitive network of channels feeding your plant and making sure that it's healthy. And there's one key element to making sure all of this happens, and that is you as the grower. Whatever you put in to that media or root zone environment will have an effect.
Yeah.
Whether it be little or lots or too much or too little, it's all going to have an effect, whether it be good or bad. And the key to this is making sure that this root zone, the rhizosphere, is in an equilibrium.
Yeah, in its peak condition.
Yeah, because without that you won't have a healthy plant, and you'll start to run into very serious problems very quickly, that we will have mentioned: pest and disease and deficiency and pH and EC, and everything to go along with that will instantly start taking hold of your plant very quickly.
An important thing to consider with the root zone is temperature. You don't want it too hot and you don't want it too cold. between 18 to 20 degrees, 22 degrees. If you're in soil or cocoa, is optimal. If you're in deep horticulture or hydroponics, 18 degrees to 20, 21 degrees is optimal as well. Reason being, the higher the temperature, the lower the oxygen content. So as your temperature increases, the amount of dissolved oxygen within that water decreases. However, as your temperature increases, the amount of nutrients within that water increases as well. The amount of dissolved nutrients actually increases. So you've got to find a nice sweet spot. Too warm, and there's a low amount of oxygen.
And not
Too
only that,
cold.
you're going to have some bad bacteria spreading very quickly.
Great environment for them.
Yeah.
Too cold though, not enough nutrients will be able to dissolve in the water, and you'll shock your roots.
And your plants will be freezing.
Yeah. So current research says that the best temperature for your root zone in a DWC system is between 18 to 21, and that's a sweet spot for dissolved oxygen content and the amount of dissolved nutrients in the water. That's something I thought important to point out.
Well, I've got something else as well while I'm sitting here. Oxygen to the root zone.
Yeah.
If you're a media grower, so you grow in cocoa or pebbles or 60-40 or cocoa or whatever your mix is, and you're doing the standard things to maybe increase the oxygen level within your media, i.e. you might be putting perlite in, or you might be adding some extra clay pebbles, or you might be putting some drainage at the bottom to help the flow of water or whatever. That's all really good, and I'd say that's like a first stage. You know that something needs to be going on to help things along a little bit more. Well, if you're listening and that's you, and your ears have just pinned up because you think, oh, he's talking about something that I know about here. Well, not only that, for very little money, say for instance if you had 50 plants, you could seriously increase your oxygen intake through the root zone by buying a simple pump. You don't have to buy it from our shop. You can get a Halia 9820, which will easily power 50 pots with the right connections. You get them for about £55 from us. You get them for the same price from any other shop. And you can buy some lime, £1 a metre.
Yeah.
It's dirt cheap. And you can buy some golf balls, we call them. They're like blue air stones, they are. And basically what you would do with this stone is you connect it up to a bit of pipe, and as you're putting your media in your pot, in the centre you place this air stone, and then you run the bit of pipe out of, you know, the little holes that run around the edge at the base of the pot, not the ones on the bottom, because then if you put a piece of pipe through the bottom one and then sit a heavy pot, it's going to kink the pipe and no air will get through. So it's got to go through the holes that are on the side of the pot at the base. Yeah. Then you run the air line out, fill it all up with cocoa. So now you've got this pot with, if you could see right through it, there'd be one of these golf ball air stones in the centre of the pot with air line running out, running to a pump that you've got in your room. And you put this in all of the pots, yeah? The amount of oxygen that is in that root zone is phenomenal. And try it. I'm not going to say any more. Just try it, and then I will give you a free pump and setup if it doesn't work. Yeah, you will see a big increase in your plant.
Yeah, vigour, health, quality, yield, everything.
Rate of growth.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
increases, isn't it? If you're going to do that, you need to do that. Really,
you do.
It's getting oxygen.
It's a very, very low cost thing to do, and I stated that. For maybe 50 pots, it probably costs you maximum £100. If you've got 4 pots, you can buy an air pump for like a tenner. Yeah. You can buy 4 air stones for like £2 each, and 4 metres of line, which is £4. Do the bloody maths. Have a go. For God's sake, it's well worth it.
Test us. If you think we're chatting shit,
go
on, I'm going to prove these lads wrong.
Yeah.
Go and try and prove us wrong.
Yeah.
We'll love to hear the results.
We will revel in our victory.
And fortunately, you will too, because you'll have a lovely...
Yeah, and you will eat your own...
words.
Yes.
Nothing worse.
No. Any other top tips for us, Stephen? Give us another top tip. For all our listeners, for all our US listeners, let's give our US listeners, because in all fairness, our US guys, they are
Killing it.
Killing it. They are cultivators. You guys are awesome. And I'm going to use that word, awesome, because that's an American word. And yous are awesome. Some of the techniques that I've seen being implemented over there are just next level. We're in the dark ages, us little United Kingdom people.
Our little island.
Yeah, our little island. We think we know everything. No, we're about 7 years behind you guys in the US.
To be fair, though, there's a lot more of them, isn't there?
Yeah,
so they do out punch us in the weight category.
Yeah, definitely.
We're trying our best.
Yeah, we are trying our best. We're still growing our lollipop stick plants, as my friends say to me.
Yeah, none of them big outdoor monsters that you guys are kicking out.
Yeah, where you need a bloody fucking stacker truck to get up to the top to prune it.
Well, do you know what? Something that the US listeners will have almost certainly have heard of is Rhizoblast.
Yeah.
That root stimulator from Botanicare.
Well, Botanicare kicks ass in America, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's how we got onto it, so thank you guys.
Yeah, it's really doing well in the UK as well.
Yeah, we're loving it.
We brought it over about 18 months ago now.
Yeah.
And it probably takes about 18 months for a new nutrient. Nobody'd really heard of it in the UK to get a hold. But people are loving it now. And this Rhizoblast, it hasn't been in the UK for 18 months. It's probably been in our shop for about 3 months.
Yeah,
in the UK for maybe 6 months.
Yeah. But it's kicking ass.
It's absolutely doing the dog's bollocks.
Yeah.
Everybody that's taken it has come back. People have used it against, I won't name names actually, but they've used it against every other root stim on the market, and it just keeps on coming back and back and back. Wow. These results.
You know what?
amazing.
I'm going to ask you as well. I'm going to ask a favour to our US listeners, because I'm sure you guys have definitely got some products that we haven't heard of. Some maybe holy grail products. They might have something that's just going to be a game changer for us.
Yeah.
So, if you guys who are listening are like thinking, hey, these guys don't know about my product. Well, we want to know. Tell us, let us know, get in touch with us. Contact us on Facebook, and let's have a little chat about it. We want to learn. We want to share our experiences and find out some new stuff.
And constantly be innovating in the UK.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one product that's come out of the US, Rhizoblast. If you haven't used it, you need to. But there's plenty of other root stimulators, and I'm going to mention the good ones. The ones that would give Rhizoblast a run for its money. Products such as CX Hydroponics Regeneroot.
Yeah.
Probably the best root stimulator, or the best selling root stimulator in our shop.
Dutch Pro Take Root.
Another fantastic product. Root Accelerator by House and Garden. Personally never used it myself, but I know a lot of customers really, really rate it.
Root Stimulator by Hydrotops.
Yeah, another fantastic. That's got a mix of organics and synthetics.
Yeah, it's organic.
It's got its enzyme products within it to break down dead roots, and a good all-round root stim, that one. And then you've got Rhizotonic, the one based on algae. It's organic derived from CANNA, another good root stimulator. But we're at a bit of a junction here, aren't we? We've got all these fantastic root stimulators, proven fantastic by our customers and by ourselves. But which one is the best?
Ooh.
How do we know? How will we ever know which one is the best?
Touchy subject.
We're going to find out.
We are.
We've talked about it before in the past. We're going to be working very closely with Nutriculture in the extreme propagators. We'll be propagating basil, and we will be testing blindly, I might add, all the root stems on the market.
Yeah.
There's a few root stems that we haven't mentioned, which are probably just as equally as good.
Yeah.
It's just that our customers don't use them as often, so they're not as prominent in the shop.
But they will be getting tested.
They will be getting tested. We've already had samples from Century. You guys were the first guys to step up with your root bastic and your ATA root stimulator, so thank you very much. You heard about the root stim test we were doing, and you're in the shop after listening to the podcast the next day with the 2 root stimulators. Thank you very much. That is a shop, that is a wholesaler that has gone, we believe in our product, let's get it into the NPK lads to test in their test.
In the test.
And we're ready to put it up against anybody, so thank you very much for that. We're still waiting on everybody else.
And just to point out to everyone, so you guys know, I don't care who wins this test.
I don't care.
I don't care.
It makes no difference.
Makes
to me.
no benefit to me whatsoever. Oh no, I do benefit from
Other
it.
than,
Is when I find out that is the root stimulator that I am going to be using.
Yeah, and that we'll be telling all our customers about.
So I'm really, you want to see the big smile on my face here, guys, because I can't wait to find out. Because what makes me laugh about things like this, I always think of one story. And all of you guys, you listeners from US and Australia and Tanzania.
We may as well start naming the countries that we're not subscribed in.
Yeah. You all must have heard the story of David and Goliath.
Yeah.
If you haven't, Google it. Because that springs to mind, and you've always got to watch out sometimes. And that's when I'm intrigued, because we've got some big companies with some big names and big money behind them. Yeah, and big research. But then we've got some little tiddlers.
Yeah. The minnows.
Yeah.
And they don't shout about the product, they just happily go along making a really great product.
So it's going to be interesting to see.
Now, I will be conducting this test personally myself.
Yeah.
It will be set up to the highest, most rigorous standards I can achieve within my setting and within my budget. I will be writing a list of everything I use, writing my methodology down, so it's open for scrutinisation. That's what I want. I want people to look at my test and rip it apart. That is science.
Yeah.
What will be happening is 10 extreme propagators, 10, maybe more, root stimulators, and they will be allocated a bottle, a white bottle named A, B, C, D, E, F, G, by a person independent to NPK, probably a member of the staff at the Nutriculture team. They will then, on a piece of paper, write down which root stimulator is in which bottle. So, let's say, for example, Rhizoblast goes into bottle A, Regenerate goes into bottle B, and so on and so forth. I do not know which root stimulator is which. I will then conduct a test over a period of 14 days to 3 weeks. At the end of it, I will then be measuring the mass of root formed and produced dry and wet. The root stimulator that produces the most amount of roots in grams wins. And then we'll be doing the test a second time. So we'll be getting a set of results. I still won't know the names of the root stimulators. We will then conduct the test all over again on a new set of clones of basil. If the results came back the same, then we will then publish the results, and I will be unblinded to the root stimulators, and hopefully will be published in Garden Culture. It'll be very rigorous. I'll be contacting all the companies' root stimulators that I'll be using. I'll be wanting what dosage they'll be using or would like me to use on the root stimulators, and hopefully this is going to be a bit of an insight into the industry as to how I feel a proper scientific test should be conducted.
Yeah.
I am open here. I'm putting my neck on the line.
It's good. Sounds good.
I want people to rip it apart. I want people to scientifically rip it apart, not get on the high horse and say, "Oh well, I don't believe it because my root stimulator."
My root stimulator is well better than yours. Cause, I think so. We're just going to test it and see bell ends, and just once and for all see who's chatting a load of rubbish.
Yeah. So there you have it. That root stimulator test is taking place in January. I've given all the manufacturers plenty of warning. If you want your root stimulators included in the test, get the root stimulator down to me. Any companies that wish,
we will be coming for you, and we will be getting your root stimulators from you. Because one thing I'm not having on this test is I'm not having certain companies slipping the net. Yeah. And then we do this test, and then we publish it, and we go, well, ours is the best because you never tested it, so that's not fair. So don't worry, people. We'll be testing all of yours.
Yeah, and then the only thing I can think of is Plant Magic to a root stimulator, don't they?
Yeah.
Plant Magic is now owned by Nutriculture.
Okay.
The test will be getting conducted at Nutriculture.
Yeah.
So it will be something for me to consider whether to include the Plant Magic root stimulator, because it's possible that people may think it's a source of bias that we will be testing Plant Magic root stim.
I'm sure me and you can implement
something to make it unbiased. Yeah, we probably will do.
Yeah.
So that's the depths that we're going to. I'm speaking to the guys at Nutriculture and talking about the batch of plastic. So every extreme propagator that we'll be using will be from the same batch.
Yeah.
So there'll be no different
grades.
So
there'll be no excuses.
Yeah. You nearly said the right word there. There'll be no variables.
Yeah.
That was good. Any more on root stims? We're straight off topic there a little bit, but we're talking about root stims. We talked a little bit about the products. We know what our customers think are the best products. We stock them in our shop.
I think the key thing that for our customers and listeners to understand about the root zone is that it's an important place.
Very important place.
And you need to adhere to it.
One of the last things that I wanted to mention with regards to roots and keeping a healthy root zone is a podcast on the roots wouldn't be complete without a mention of pots and the type of pots that you can get. So you've got plastic pots. Everybody knows the plastic pot.
Yeah.
And then you've got some variations on plastic pots. You've got plastic hot pots with drilled holes all throughout. It looks like a really weird IKEA lampshade.
Like a net pot or something?
Yeah, and I think they're called oxypots.
Yeah.
Really good at getting oxygen to the root zone. The root tips try to come out the pot and they are what we call air pruned. So as they become air pruned, they don't become root bound, and they produce 3 or 4 more new growing tips and basically produce a really compact, dense root system. This works very well. If you've just been using plastic pots, you make the move to oxy pots, you'll notice a massive increase in health figure yield, and it's all because of the oxygen to the root zone and not getting a root bound plant. However, there are now fabric pots.
They've started becoming very popular, haven't they?
Smart pots, probably, I know they're massive in the US, they're also very big in the UK. Probably one of the most renowned fabric pots that you can get. There's other pots on the scene though. We had a chat with the guys from GeoPots. They actually did that wrap back in Coventry, very entertaining.
Yeah.
And they have some nice features such as the Velcro, which just helps in transplanting and potting up, as you talked about before. So there's a range of fabric pots, and in our experience, in our customers' experience, these seem to be where it's at for pots these days. Really healthy root zones, lots of oxygen getting into the rhizosphere, and just an all-round healthy plant. You can still bottom feed. The fabric of the fabric pot will take up the nutrients, and then the cocoa and the roots absorb it for digestion. And that's essentially it in most basic form. If you've never tried fabric pots before, give them a go. Do a 50-50 side-by-side comparison. Use half of your normal pots that you've still got, and take the leap with these fabric pots, because they're absolutely top-notch and miles better than the plastic pot.
I just wanted to add some bits at the end, just in case any of the listeners are thinking, okay, so what size pot should I go for? Because that can be quite a common question as well, and in all honesty, it just depends what you want to do.
Yeah,
there's different variations of pot and size and whatever, and each one of them underline a certain tactic in a way on growing. And although you could just stick a plant in any pot and just do whatever you want, and it could be okay, certain pots and certain sizes have different life categories, I believe anyway.
Yeah.
For instance, you're not going to grow a plant in a pot for 3 months in a 1 litre pot, are you?
No.
Why not?
Because then it'd be a bonsai plant.
Yeah, and it'd be dead. It'd choke itself and become deficient, and it just wouldn't work.
Support the 8 weeks.
So
stage.
That then leads you on to think, okay, so pot sizes led me to think pot sizes have life expectancy.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
That's a good way of putting it, to be honest with you. But the customers are always asking me, what size pot do we need? What size pot do I need? It's a matter of personal preference, really, isn't it?
Well, if you're going to grow a plant for 3 weeks, and then you're going to give it a flowering cycle from then, I've always seemed to think, well, in 3 weeks, I want my root zone to be fairly dense, but not overcrowded.
Yeah.
Now, in a 10 litre pot of 3 weeks of my growth, I achieved this. So, and I check by, as I was saying before, me little tip, I put my 2 fingers in and I tip it up and I look and I say, okay, it's round the edges and stuff like that, and it's quite dense. However, it's not completely wrapped upon itself. It's not choking itself. So you then look at 40 litre pots. I wouldn't grow in a 40 litre pot for 3 weeks, because then I'd only realistically have a similar sort of root size as I already had in a 10 litre pot. So me personally, I believe that if you have maybe a 40 litre pot, you're going to grow your plants a lot longer.
Probably up to, this is
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But then you're going to have a lot larger plant. So, say for instance, you could only grow one plant at a time. Your larger plant, that takes longer to grow, then determines that you probably only have 2 grow cycles a year, where little Timmy, who only grows in 5 litre pots and has a shorter grow cycle, can do a few more crops a year. And the realisticness of it all is that there's no right or wrong answer. It's personal preference.
And what suits your situation.
Yeah, and what style and track that you want to follow. There is wrong ways in which you can do things, because there's wrong ways in which you can do a lot of things, but...
i.e., like you mentioned, 8-week veggies in a 1 litre pot, or a 2-week veg in a 40 litre pot. It's wrong.
Yeah.
You're gonna see poor results as a result of that, of
Yeah.
following that method.
You're going to have problems with your plant. Your plant's going to start becoming deficient and not well, and other things are going to start happening.
Yeah, so that's a good point, actually. I wouldn't have brought that up.
I just wanted to mention that.
No, it is. So, for argument's sake, let's give the people a very rough, and I mean very rough because it depends on how well you grow your plants to start off with, but roughly, if you were growing for 2 weeks, a 5 to a 7.5 litre pot may be adequate.
Yeah.
3 to 4 weeks, you're looking at 10 to
15.
12, maybe 15 litre pot. 4 to 6 weeks, 15, 20, 30 litre pots.
Yeah.
And as you get into the 8-week and the 10-week stages, you're probably looking at the 40 litre, 60 litre.
Because now you're looking at growing a small tree.
Yeah.
That's
essentially what it is, isn't it? So bear that in mind when you're picking your pot size, and stop asking the people in the shop what's the correct pot size. There is no correct pot size.
Yeah.
It's down to you.
Yeah, but what you can ask for is different takes on what we suggest. Various pots work in various cycles. So, if you're unsure or you just want some guidance on different pots, feel free to come in store and see us. Yeah. Because it can be a long and complicated situation to explain on a podcast, because there's that many different variables that we couldn't home in on all of them.
No, impossible.
But if you come into the store and then you present us with a set of different variables, we'll help you along.
Of course we will. Last thing I'm going to mention, I promise this is the last one. We touched on it before with the inoculating the root zone, so the bacteria, good bacteria, and the roots have a symbiotic relationship. They work together to achieve each other's goals. And the way you achieve that is, we talked about charge as well, which is beetle poo, and that also contains beneficial microorganisms that will help with the root growth. If you don't use a product like charge, which you seriously should, there's a lot of other products that you could even use alongside charge. These are products, the Hydroponics range is absolutely phenomenal. They have the 3 products, Gavita, Top Heavy Crop and Triple F. 3 products, Gavita all the way through. Top Heavy Crop for in the vegetative and early flowering stages, and Triple F for the flowering stages. That stands for fully formed flowers. Different bacteria for different stages of growth. They protect the root zone, they outcompete the bad bacteria, and they're essentially making, in hydroponics or in cocoa, they're replicating the benefits of soil. So you want your soil alive, you want it to be... I'm not a fan of sanitary, of these really sterile environments. I don't like it. The microbes own this planet. They run this planet. Believe it or not. We don't own our planet. The microbes do. So instead of working against them and using antibiotics in the human body and with animals and trying to kill them all, you will never succeed. Work with them, because there's really good beneficial bacteria out there, and use them to your benefit.
There's a lot of US good beneficial bacteria, is it?
Yeah.
Mycos
and Azos by Extreme Gardening.
Yeah.
Recently, 2 wholesalers, Highlight Horticulture and I believe Maxi Bright do it as well, but Highlight Horticulture have just recently...
And also Humboldt. They got some...
They do
White Widow.
White Widow, that's
White
the one
Widow.
in a black packet. White Widow, called White Widow because of the network that the beneficial fungus bacteria creates. Very, very good. Very expensive, but a phenomenal product if you're willing to shell out. There's a whole host out there. There's a new and up and coming company called TNC, the Nutrient Company. It's run by a lad from Manchester. We'll be hopefully having him on the show in a few months' time. He is I was chatting to him at Coventry. His passion about microbes is second to none. He's got a lot to say about other companies' microbes with regards to the population of bacteria that's within the products, such as spores per gram and so on.
Oh, so you're going to have a microbe fest on here, aren't you?
Microbe fest, yeah. You're going to enjoy it.
Bloody hell, I look forward to that one.
And he's an up-and-coming company, and because of his passion and the way he markets his products, which is very plain, he thinks his products do the talking for themselves. No fashy, flancy, all sorts of singing, dancing pictures on his products.
We'll see.
We'll see how good his products are. But first impressions are he's one to look out for. Very, very good, and hopefully we'll have him on the show, and we can really go in depth on how microbes interact with plants. So I promised that was the last thing I'd say about roots, and I'm going to stick to that promise. Anything else to add?
I think that's it for me for now.
Well, I forgot to do it last week, so I'm going to go through all of our social media. So if you don't follow us on any of these, get in touch and follow us on them now. Facebook, type in NPK Technology. On Twitter, again, just search for NPK Technology. Our Instagram, for those with a more visual philosophy of life and just like to look at pictures, go onto our Instagram and type in NPK_hydroponics.
Underscore,
that's the one.
Bloody hell. It's science and he doesn't know what a bloody underscore is.
It's been a long day, Thomas. / works. Yeah, I was testing you there.
But you've got to remember, we've got the whole world trying to find the / key that they can't find.
It was a test for everyone. Well done, you've all passed.
Yeah, you've all passed.
YouTube, we're on YouTube. We'll be doing a lot more on YouTube in the future. You just type in NPK Technology. Just type in NPK Technology to Google. Google loves us. We're on everything.
Yeah. If you are viewing any of our stuff and like to write us a review, good or bad, please do so.
Yeah, not so much the bad ones.
No, just write good ones, please.
Yeah, I'd really appreciate any good reviews you guys could write. It just really helps with...
Just any feedback from anyone is much appreciated.
Yeah, if you've got any bad feedback, give it to us direct so we can improve upon it and act on it rather than slating us to the whole world.
If it's about my accent, you're fucked, because there's nothing I can do about that. So, sorry.
You can't put subtitles on a podcast.
Yeah.
Right, you've been listening to myself, Stephen.
And myself, Thomas.
Talking about the root zone. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week with just a general chat.
We're having next week.
Yeah, just talking
about
the year.
Yeah, about the year and what's been going on for everyone. We're going to sum up everybody's year.
Yeah. Stay tuned. That should be a fun one. Bye bye, everyone.